Hello, my name is InsanelyADD and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be drawing Papyrus and then Sans from Undertale. The video is pre-recorded, so what I'm saying might not match up 100% with the actual video, but I'll try. I was recording it at the same time as I was recording me drawing it, but that video turned out to be about 57 minutes long, so yeah, I have alternate plans on the narration now, because I was kind of rambly, I got distracted at a couple points, so this is just for the cleanest outcome. Anyways, so, I decided to do this because I keep hearing over and over again from people that they really like Papyrus. They think that he is great, he's one of their favorite characters, or he is their most favorite character, but they don't draw him because they can't draw him. And that's really sad that so many people feel like they shouldn't draw him at all because they can't draw him correctly, quote unquote. This is him in 3/4 view. You want to start with a circle. Which side should he be facing? Let's face this side. And then from the widest part of the circle, you want to make a straight line down. But first, I fixed the forehead a little bit because otherwise it looks a little odd. So straight line down, and then opposite and parallel, you want to do another line for the opposite side of his jaw. And then a straight line for the bottom of the jaw, and then a little corner taken out because that's how his sprite looks in canon. It looks like that. So, and then you want to put some cheekbones on there, and they're uneven, but don't worry, I fixed that in a second. Yeah. And, a thing with Papyrus is that, like, I make the lines of his jaw, they're almost parallel, but they're not entirely parallel. Oh, and his eye sockets. His right eye socket, our left side, is larger than his left eye socket, our right side. He's got a smaller nose hole than Sans consistently in his battle sprite and his overworld sprite. And I like to do this thing with his mouth, where it's like a funny shaped, like, triangle, rhombus thing. And I normally put, like, oh geez, that's too high. I normally put, about, you know, like, you can do that if you want, but I personally don't, because it might not be showing for, like, the angle he's facing. I personally put his teeth line about, a little bit lower than halfway. Some people put it higher, and I just personally think that looks a little strange. And here I am cleaning up the image a bit to make the sketch more recognizable, readable for your eyes. And fun tip, both Sans and Papyrus have under eye bags in their sprites. Both Overworld and Battle sprites, and also I think Talk sprites. Well, actually, Overworld doesn't have that much detail, so Battle sprites and Talk sprites. And then here I am fixing the forehead a little bit, because, like, if you do just a perfect circle, it looks a little odd. So you want to do, like, a little bit more of a straight line and, like, a clean curve. And if you're like, oh, I want to have his mouth open, well, I normally take a little bit more from the bottom teeth than the top teeth. And boom. Here he is front-facing, which is even more difficult for a lot of people, and that's fair. He's a very difficult character to draw. I hear this over and over again, even from people who I think are really talented, who draw him all the time also. So you want to start with a circle again. He's facing front, so you don't have to, like, you know, do the where is he facing plus sign. And you do the parallel lines again, well, almost parallel lines. The jaw. And you want to do, like, little corner cut off again. I have an art program that can turn the canvas so I can make lines that are more even. And once again, you want to do the cheekbones. They should be like a parenthesis that contains the bottom part of the circle. And, like, in that circle, the parentheses, I mean, you should be able to put his nose. Clean up the top of the skull. I'm doing cleanup again, even though I'm weird about when I do stuff. I have no process. You look at me and you think I'm competent? You fool. I've tricked you. No, but so, like, do what you think is best for your process. I'm just a mess, hence my name. And once again, his eye sockets. His right eye socket, our left side, taller, larger than his left. And here I am making fun of people who give him anime eyes, because I think his little cute coin slot eye sockets are much cuter. They're like really stylized and adorable, and I think it's really cute. And if you just give him anime eyes, it takes away some of his like character. Oh, and here I am showing how like even like his talk sprites and stuff, even when he's making expressions out of all of his eyebrows, the right side, our left again, is still taller than his left side, our right. And then this is how I like draw him smiling from the front. I try to like follow the same shape as I do on the 3/4 view for that like hole on the sides of his mouth. But like I make it slimmer, obviously, because it's not as visible. It's not the main focus. And then here I am making his happy little face. Look at him. God. He's adorable. Oh my goodness. I put little stars around him because I was just so happy with how he came out. Look at him. He's a cutie. Ah, jeez. Papyrus, how dare you? How dare you be so handsome? You're under arrest, sir. And the next one is one most people find very difficult. Even people who draw him really well from the front and the 3/4 view have a hard time drawing him in profile, which is the side view. And a lot of people, like, they tend to, you know, they draw it like this, which is a little odd. It's not bad, obviously. But like even then, some people don't even do that. They just make them completely flat on a face, which is like more of a welding mask than a face. So what you do is you're kind of half right. So you make the straight line, like you've done before, and you make the line for the jaw, and it's about halfway instead of like the 3/4 way that it was before. And then you do a little curved line from where it splits off out there, and then you draw it straight down to that bottom line, and boom. And then you do like the cheekbone again, obviously, and the cheekbone, I always place it where the jawline connects to the circle. That way you don't see where they connect, because I think that's just like the most natural placement for it. And this is all just my opinion. And I always make the eye sockets flat, like on the side that faces outwards, because that's just kind of how eyes look. They're not going to be like, you know, circular or anything. And I realized at about this point, I think, that I made his nose a little bit too not curved enough when I drew it. So I fixed that. Little touch-ups and such. Here's the back 3/4 view. I was wrong about which one came next. So back 3/4 is also really difficult, simply because, well, I don't draw it a lot, but that's just simply because I don't have much use for it. I still draw it more often than people who have a hard time drawing his face, which is fair, because, like, you know, if you can't draw it and you're in hell suffering at the concept of, like, drawing it, then, you know, it's fair to, like, not do it. But, like, you should try for practice. So basically what it is it's like the same concept as the normal 3/4 view. In that you do the jaw line straight, you know, the straight line, and then the 3/4 for the opposite side of the jaw, but then you put, like, where the other side of the jaw is, which would be 1/4 in. Like so. And the cheekbones, once again, are up where the circle connects to the jaw. And I always put a little bit of thickening lines around the jaw to, like, indicate that the mandible has thickness to it. And for I also, like, add the a little bit of a curve, a soft curve for where the cheekbone is. I don't like to draw the inside of the mouth, by the way, from the back of the skull. I think it looks odd because it's like black void in their mouths. So I think it should be black void from behind, you know? Like it's a privacy screen, so you don't see them eating their food, which would be so gross. Ooh, ooh, you know? And so, like, yeah, this is how the back 3/4 is. And I don't know, I got distracted here, I think. Once again, I'm, like, showing, like, this is how you do the front, and this is how you do the back. They're basically the same, but mirrored. Ooh, fancy. Anyway, Get to the point! Oh yes, I'm talking about the number of teeth that show in these views. So from profile, it'd only be like, 4 teeth. And from back 3/4, it'd be 1 tooth. Oh, and then here I am explaining like how you would do like the 3/4 view with slight variations on the angle. Like for instance, if he's facing more towards his right, you would see his mouth open when he opens it. And you could like draw it like that. But if he's facing more towards the left from this 3/4 view, then you'd see the other like little, the little mouth curl and like the more of his jaw on the other side. I am just all over the place. See? Like, so you could also just take those and implement those in your style as like the main one that you draw for 3/4 view if you want, because they're all valid and they all have like different ways that they look really good in my opinion. I just kind of go between them to like make it more of like a 3D thing, because I'm a fucking weirdo and I have a 3D projector in my brain. So like that's where I put the spine on it too. Personally, I'm not a fan of really thick bones. They kind of creep me out, which is weird because like Uncanny Valley stuff normally has no effect on me at all. I don't feel creeped out by like robots or whatever, but thick bones freak me out. And now here I am drawing the worst angle ever. The one that I barely ever attempt, and if I have to attempt, I curse God and go into the pose with all the hate in my soul at the forefront of it. It actually turned out pretty good in this, in my opinion, but I've tried it before, and every time it is hell, because it's really hard to like make him look like he's smiling when his head is tilted up, because the natural curve of his teeth make it look like a frown. And like, yeah. There I am cleaning it up again, because I am a weirdo. And once again, like, the natural thickness of the jaw, of like the bones and the teeth and such. Because like, it's not flat. His teeth aren't flat. Could you imagine if Papyrus had like his huge teeth, but they're like razor thin? How terrifying would that be? That would be fucking nightmare fuel. Like, forget Undertale Papyrus and his fucking piranha teeth. Just imagine like razor thin teeth. Like having knives for teeth, but it's like butcher knives instead of, oh jeez. And then here I am having a fucking meltdown about like the fucking where the teeth line go, because God, crimes. Like I said, I think I did a pretty good job for once with this pose. I like what I named it, because like, I don't know if it has a name. It's obviously like just, the head tilted back or whatever. But I named it something else because it's evil and a crime, and it should be against the law for artists to be forced to draw in it, in my opinion. Oh, here's the name. Boom. Anyway. So, also, another tip, when you draw a skeleton, the neck vertebra is naturally curved inwards towards the chin in the middle. And when they tilt their head back, obviously the neck vertebra is going to tilt even more. It's going to be even more wiggly and such. And same goes for like any other pose of your neck. I don't draw the little spurs on the vertebrae because I don't hate myself that much. But basically, anytime that you tilt your head in any way, the neck is going to align with it a little bit. It's going to like tilt that way. And then here I am contemplating, should I draw Sans? I kind of want to draw Sans, because it's not like I was drawing this at 2 in the morning. Oh wait, it was. I was drawing it at 2 in the morning, because I'm a fool. I'm a fool with a terrible sleep schedule. And then here we go. I'm going to work on Sans, and as you can see, the giant canvas I used was pointless because of how little of it I ended up using. So you start with a circle, because Sans is a very simple man. He's a simple man made of simple circles. You just do a circle for his head. Now this is kind of like, it's kind of a squashed circle, that's fine because Sans is kind of squashed, and that's fine. He's valid. He's a valid round boy. So you do 2 circles, and each circle on each side is like the sides of his jaw. And this is just something I personally do, because I saw it once in a picture and I was like, ah, that's kind of neat, adds a little bit more depth to his face. I just add, like, well, first, I just add, like, a little line there to indicate that he has a cheekbone, even if it's not visible, because he's still a skeleton, even if he looks like a marshmallow. And I see, like, a lot of people, like, I wouldn't say, like, oh, here's where I go through all the mouths. He doesn't have the bean mouth. He doesn't have the Steven Universe bean mouth. And he doesn't have, like, this mouth, which is the mouth I typically use on humans. And he doesn't have lips. This man has no lips, and if you give him lips, you are a criminal, and I will arrest you. His mouth never closes. The closest he gets to a frown is when the top line of his mouth gets straight, and that's when you kill him in the genocide run. But for dramatic effect, I do like to do this when he frowns. Like if it's like a really serious moment and he's really seriously frowning, I do that. He's got about 6 teeth, and he does like the chubby cheek smile. His eyes are kind of like, I call it this sad egg shape, because, you know, that. God. And, it's really difficult, oh jeez, to make his head in some ways for me, because, like, it's a bunch of circles, right? But at the same time, like, if you don't do it right, his head looks squishy in not the right way. He's supposed to look chunky and soft, but if you don't do it the right way, it looks terrible. He doesn't actually have any eyebrows in canon. Sans canonically has no eyebrows, so everyone out there giving him those thick, luscious caveman brows is wrong. But I give him eyebrows, because otherwise he looks terrifying, and it's not a good look. Like, let me show you real quick. If you give him like really tiny eyelights and no eyebrows, he looks like a nightmare. He looks evil. But if you give him like big, round, kind of like soft-edged highlights and eyebrows, then he looks less like he's gonna murder you in your sleep, okay? Because Sans wouldn't do that. Sans is a chill dude, even though everyone wants to make him edgy and full of anger and aggression, which he isn't. He is a fucking marshmallow. He's about as threatening as a dirty sock, because that is his spirit animal. His spirit animal is a dirty sock. Look at this man. He needs to rest. Let him sleep. But anyways, this isn't my best Sans. I've drawn better Sanses, but this was just like, you know, a quick little, oh, and here I go, like, defacing my own art, because I can. But anyways, like I said, Sans is a big dork. He's a doofus, and this isn't my best Sans, but this is just like a quick, sketchy tutorial. Like, giving basic tips on how to, like, draw them better if you feel not confident in how to draw them. And then here we go, drawing him from the front. And the thing about Sans, canonically, from the front, is that he looks like an alien. The top half of his head is huge. It's wider and taller than the bottom half of his head. And it kind of gives the impression of Elmer fucking Fudd, which, no thanks. He kind of looked like those weird, like, things you could get in the 90s. Like, I had one that looked just like his head, and it looked like this. I don't remember what the hell it was. All I know it was, like, purple, and I think the name might have had something to do with beans. I don't recall. But anyways, so even though I'm mostly canon compliant with these designs, I do a little bit of other things, because Toby did say that he, wanted the sprites to look a little bad on purpose. Which, in my opinion, is why Sans' head looks like that, if you look at his sprite. And also why Papyrus seems to be wearing a fruit bowl on his ass. I will die on this hill. Papyrus needs different pants in his battle body, I swear to God. He looks like he got stuck in a toddler swing and used his hyper-realistic painting skills. What the fuck am I doing? Oh, I'm drawing an egg for his eye because of the sad egg shape I mentioned. Anyways, Papyrus used his hyper-realistic painting skills to make the toddler swing he got lodged on his ass look acceptable. And I will never, ever, ever, ever draw him in his battle body with the bowl, the ass bowl, the battle diaper, whatever the hell you want to call it. No, he wears shorts. I will draw him in shorts, even though it's obviously not shorts because he wears shorts later in the game, but he wears shorts. Anyways, back to Sans. Like, you know, just a basic little, like, kind of squishy marshmallow shape with his sad egg eyes, and, like, the under eye bags, because he has those, just like Papyrus, and, like, you know, the hoodie. This is just personally how I draw the hoodie, like, hoodie hoods. I'm an expert at drawing hoodies because I own 47 of them, including 2 Sans hoodies. One just arrived today. I'm replacing my old one because my old one is torn to shit, because I've worn it almost every single day since I got it in October of 2018. And if you look at the time that this video is posted, you can guess, holy fucking shit, you've had that hoodie for a long time. You've worn it almost every single day except for about, perhaps 10 days? And here he is from profile. Once again, like just like Papyrus, the basic shapes are the same in every single drawing. It's either, you know, the circle and line from the widest part of the circle, or it's a circle and another circle, like for Sans. And this is how I draw him, so that way, like, some people, they do this weird thing where, like, Sans has that round face, obviously. But then, from the profile view, they make the front of his mouth flat and give him, like, a square-looking jaw, and I'm like, this does not translate to how you drew the 3/4 view at all. So I do this. You got squishy, squishy boy face. Behold, the squishy boy face. And I think I think I changed his nose at some point too, because it looked a little funny. Like, it looked like his face was melting a bit. Oh yes, I changed where his jaw was too, because it wasn't like the direct middle of the circle. You always want the cheekbone to be about the middle of the circle, like where the jaw connects up onto the circle part of the skull. Because that's just how jaws work, really. Oh jeez. It'll just make it a more cohesive design, because if you do it too far forward, it kind of looks like the character is a bowling ball on a stick wearing a mask for a face. And that's like in a lot of yaoi art that I've seen, made fun of, where the faces just kind of look like masks on bowling balls instead of a face, because they don't bring the jaw far enough back on the circle that is the head. Once again, you want to do the sad, tired thing, and oh look, there I am, fixing the nose again. He's got a big nose. Big nose hole. He's a soft egg. He is Comic Sans. Comic Sans. The doofus boy. And then here I am, like, talking about how, like, some people give Sans, like, a Quagmire chin. You know, like, 2 rounded off diamonds like that. They give him, like geometric peanut for a chin when he looks, when you do the, like, looking up pose on him. And that isn't at all. It should look more like a Cheeto Puff, honestly. And, like, here I am drawing it, and I was like, wait a second, this is actually good. And so I decided to keep it for the up view pose, because it actually looked decent. And I was like, wow! Weird. But yeah, so, like, looking up pose on Sans, you want to do, like, a cheesy poof. And it's not a very well-structured sketch, but whatever. And then for the behind view, what the hell am I doing here? Oh yes, I'm talking about how, like, a really well-known, really well-liked artist drew Sans' teeth with, like, a super extreme curve on them, and it made him look like a car, like the grill of a car. It's a stupid shiny eye thing. So, in my personal opinion, you want to do, like, a very slight curve or completely straight lines for all the teeth. Like, very rarely do you ever want to go, like, extreme curve, because it just makes it look like the grill of a car, or whatever. It doesn't look good. It looks like it's bulging out of his face, like his teeth are bulging out of his face, like you're pressing Play-Doh through the bars of a prison, and that's Sans' teeth. It doesn't look good. Oh, and then I compared that kind of drawing of his teeth to ingrown toenails, so I was, like, on a tangent, so you are very lucky that you didn't have to, like, come face to face with the horrifying wrath of me, like, going on a tangent about ingrown toenail teeth. I've spared you, even though I've mentioned it twice now, I've spared you compared to what it probably originally was. Oh yeah, and then like angry furry. I don't know what the hell I was doing. What the fuck was I doing? I'm a maniac. Anyways, so back 3/4 view. Once again, you want to do the same thing you did in 3/4 view with the two small circles on the bigger circle. But just like Papyrus, you want to like, you want to follow the one circle around to show like, it's the back. You want to squish it down a bit because obviously not as much of it's going to be showing as it would be on the profile view. And you could take this opportunity to show that his eye sockets are completely hollow and like they sink in like real skulls. But personally, I don't do that. It's just my personal preference because I think it gets filled in with darkness, like shadow effect. Because it's like, they're not real. You don't have to justify everything that goes on with them visually as being like, this is a biological component and here's the explanation and here's the science I made up for it. Like, you don't have to do that. Just let it be the way it is. You don't have to justify your art on a scientific level to people. So, yeah, and then I, like, filled in the back, because once again, I don't like showing their teeth, and Sans' mouth never opens. This is a hill I will die on. He doesn't open his mouth. There's unused sprites in the game of him eating ice cream, and he kind of eats it by just smearing it on his face. So, yeah, his mouth doesn't open. He has no lips. His mouth doesn't close. He's always got his doofy boy smile. And, yeah. Here is, the final product of my tutorial. How to draw them from multiple angles, including 3/4 view, which is the easiest for many people, and that's fair. The front view, which is difficult for a lot of people. Profile view, which is difficult for most people. Like, even, like, really good artists, if you look at earlier art by them, if you can find any earlier art by them, you're likely to find that they had a hard time drawing in profile. Back 3/4, which isn't a well-utilized pose, but it might come up, so it's useful to have it. And the Satan's Commission pose, which is just evil, and I will say that forever. So yeah, that is my tutorial on how to draw the SkeleBros from Undertale. Oh wow, look at that, it's snowing out. And fuck that. Anyways, so that's my tutorial on how to draw Sans and Papyrus from Undertale more effectively by using shapes, or like just to help you out if you need some tips, like if you feel like you don't draw either of them well enough. Because that's fine. Everyone needs a little bit of help, and I've drawn Papyrus so many times that if you feel like you can't draw him because you aren't good at drawing him, that's bullshit. I used to draw him horribly, but I kept working at it until I found something that works. So here's my tips, and I hope they help.